The alarm screamed through the command center of Station Outpost 7. Red lights flashed across every console as officers jumped from their seats. Something had just entered Imperial space, and it should not have been possible. Lieutenant Bora stared at her screen with wide eyes. Her hands shook as she tried to make sense of the readings. The object was moving faster than anything she had ever seen. It was not using any known type of engine. There was no heat signature, no energy trail, nothing that made sense. "Get me Admiral Taman right now," she shouted to her communications officer. Her voice cracked with urgency. Across the sector, aboard the massive warship called Dominion's Fist, Admiral Taman was reviewing routine patrol reports when the emergency call came through. He was an old warrior with gray streaks in his hair and scars that told stories of 40 years defending the Empire. He had seen many threats in his life, but the fear in Lieutenant Bora's voice made him stand up immediately. "What is it?" he demanded. "Sir, we have an unidentified vessel. It just crossed into the Cronus sector. It ignored all our warning beacons. It is moving at speeds that should not be possible." Admiral Taman felt a cold sensation run down his spine. In 3,000 years, the Valtrine Empire had conquered 47 star systems. They had destroyed or absorbed dozens of other civilizations. No one challenged the Empire anymore. No one dared. "Show me," he commanded. The main screen lit up with sensor data. Admiral Taman studied the readings carefully. The ship was small, perhaps only 300 meters long, but the speed readings made no sense. It was traveling at velocities that would tear apart any known vessel. Captain Heejin, his tactical officer, stepped beside him. She was young, only 30 years old, but she had the sharpest mind in the fleet. Her fingers moved quickly across her console as she ran analysis after analysis. "Sir, the hull composition does not match anything in our database," she reported. "The material is completely unknown. And look at this." She pointed to the energy readings. "The power output from that small ship is equal to one of our battle cruisers." Admiral Taman clenched his jaw. "Where did it come from?" "Unknown, sir. It just appeared on our sensors. No jump signature, no warp trail. It was just suddenly there. Send every available ship to intercept. I want that vessel stopped." Across 3 sectors, Imperial warships changed course. Hundreds of vessels, each one a masterpiece of military engineering, moved to surround the unknown intruder. The Empire's pride was at stake. No one entered Imperial space without permission. But as the fleet converged, something strange happened. The unknown ship simply stopped. It hung in space at coordinates that Imperial charts marked as empty. There were no planets nearby, no resources, nothing of value. Why would anyone stop there? In his research lab aboard the science vessel Infinite Knowledge, researcher Doyen received an urgent summons. He was the Empire's leading expert on alien technology. He had studied the remains of countless defeated civilizations. But when he saw the data on the unknown ship, his hands went cold. "This cannot be real," he whispered to himself. The readings showed technology that was beyond anything he had ever encountered. The ship's hull was made of materials that should not exist. The energy systems operated on principles he could not understand. He immediately contacted Admiral Taman. "Sir, I need to see this vessel up close. Whatever this is, it represents a completely new level of technology." Admiral Taman frowned. "You will have your chance, researcher. First, we need to know if this is a threat." The Imperial fleet formed a perfect sphere around the unknown ship. 300 warships, each one capable of destroying cities, aimed their weapons at the small vessel. Admiral Taman stood on the bridge of Dominion's Fist and stared at the view screen. "Hail them on all frequencies," he ordered. For long minutes there was only silence. The unknown ship sat quietly in space, making no moves, sending no signals. Captain Heejin checked her weapons systems nervously. Something about this situation felt wrong. In her experience, prey ran or fought. This ship did neither. "Sir, we are picking up something," the communications officer suddenly announced. "The ship is scanning us." "What?" Admiral Taman stepped forward. "How?" "Our stealth systems are active. It does not matter, sir. Their sensors are cutting through our shields like they are not even there. They are analyzing our hull composition, our weapons, our crew, everything." Admiral Taman felt anger rising in his chest. How dare they? This was Imperial space. The Empire decided who scanned whom. "Charge all weapons," he commanded. "If they do not respond in 5 minutes, we will open fire." Captain Heejin felt her stomach tighten. She ran more calculations on her console. Something was very wrong about this situation. The unknown ship had made no aggressive moves. It just sat there silent and waiting, yet it had crossed into Imperial space with no effort. It had ignored every warning. Its technology was far beyond anything they understood. "Sir?" she said quietly. "Perhaps we should wait for more information before engaging." Admiral Taman looked at her sharply. "Are you questioning my orders, Captain?" "No, sir. I am simply suggesting caution. We know nothing about this ship or who built it. We do not know if there are more of them. We do not even know where it came from." Her words made sense, but Admiral Taman was a warrior. He had built his reputation on strength and decisive action. The entire Empire was watching now. News of the unknown ship had reached the Imperial capital. The Emperor himself had sent a message. "Deal with this intruder immediately." 4 minutes, he announced to the bridge crew. In the research lab, Doyen was studying every bit of data he could gather. The more he learned, the more worried he became. This was not just advanced technology. This was technology that suggested a completely different approach to science. Whoever built this ship thought about physics in ways the Empire had never considered. He noticed something else too. The ship's power systems were running at minimal capacity. It was as if the vessel was barely turned on. If this was low power, what could it do at full strength? 3 minutes, Admiral Taman counted down. The bridge was silent. Every officer watched their screens. The unknown ship continued to do nothing. It just waited. Captain Heejin checked her sensors one more time. Then she saw something that made her blood run cold. "Sir, I am detecting a power buildup in the unknown ship. Are they charging weapons?" "I do not know, sir. The energy signature is unlike anything I have seen before." 2 minutes. Researcher Doyen burst through the bridge doors, breathing hard from running. "Sir, you must not attack that ship." Admiral Taman turned to face him. "Why not?" "Because," Doyen gasped, "everything about it suggests we are dealing with a civilization far more advanced than ours. If we attack and fail to destroy it, we may be starting a war we cannot win." The words hung in the air like a death sentence. The Valtrine Empire had never faced a superior enemy. The very idea was unthinkable. 1 minute, the weapons officer announced. Admiral Taman stared at the unknown ship on his screen. It looked so small and fragile, but appearances could deceive. He thought about his 40 years of service. He thought about all the victories, all the conquered worlds. Then he thought about what failure might mean. 30 seconds. His finger hovered over the firing command. Then the unknown ship sent its first message. The message came through on every frequency at once. It was not just audio. It was video, text, mathematical formulas, and musical patterns. The communication systems on 300 Imperial warships lit up simultaneously. Officers scrambled to process the flood of information. Admiral Taman watched as his communications officer worked frantically at her console. "What is happening?" he demanded. "Sir, they are broadcasting in hundreds of different languages. Our translation computers are struggling to keep up." "Wait, I am getting something now." A voice emerged from the speakers. It was calm and clear, with a strange accent that no Imperial citizen had ever heard before. "Greetings. This is Captain G1 of the exploration vessel Wanderer's Hope. We come in peace. We mean no harm to your people or your territory. We are simply traveling through this region of space. We apologize if we have caused any alarm. Please respond so we may discuss this situation peacefully." The bridge of Dominion's fist fell completely silent. Every officer turned to look at Admiral Taman. The old warrior's face showed no emotion, but inside his mind was racing. The intruder spoke as if entering Imperial space without permission was a minor inconvenience, like accidentally stepping on someone's foot. Captain Hyejin quickly analyzed the broadcast. "Sir, the message was transmitted in 347 different languages simultaneously. Their translation capabilities are extraordinary." Admiral Taman activated his communication system. "Unknown vessel, this is Admiral Taman, Supreme Commander of the Imperial Border Fleet. You have illegally entered Valtrine Empire space. You ignored all warning beacons. You violated our sovereign territory. Explain yourself immediately." There was a brief pause. Then the voice returned, still calm and friendly. "Admiral Taman, I am Captain G1. Again, I apologize for any concern we have caused. We did not detect any warning beacons. Our sensors showed this region as unclaimed space. We are explorers from a distant region called the Orion Arm. We are on a scientific mission to study this part of the galaxy. We had no intention of trespassing." "The Orion Arm?" Researcher Doyen quickly checked his star charts. Sir, that region is over 30,000 light-years from here. It would take our fastest ships decades to travel that distance. Admiral Taman felt a chill. If they came from that far away, how long had they been traveling? And more importantly, how many more of them might be out there? Captain Jiwon, he said slowly, you claim to be explorers. Yet you travel in a ship with technology far beyond ours. You cross vast distances that should be impossible. You scan our vessels without permission. These are not the actions of peaceful explorers. Another pause. Then a new voice joined the conversation. This one was female, gentle, and patient. Admiral, this is Dr. Soman. I am the xenobiologist and diplomatic officer aboard Wanderer's Hope. I understand your concerns. They are reasonable given the circumstances. Would you permit us to explain our situation more fully? Perhaps we could establish a dialogue? Captain Hyejin leaned close to Admiral Taman and whispered, Sir, they have a diplomatic officer on board. That suggests they have encountered other species before. Admiral Taman nodded grimly. He activated his communicator again. Very well, Dr. Soman, explain. But be warned, we have 300 warships surrounding your vessel. Any aggressive action will result in your immediate destruction. Understood, Admiral. We have no wish for conflict. Dr. Soman's voice remained patient. My species is called humanity. We originated from a planet called Earth in the Orion Arm. We have been exploring space for approximately 400 years. During that time, we have encountered 17 other spacefaring civilizations. With most of them, we have established peaceful trade and research relationships. 17 civilizations? Admiral Taman exchanged glances with Captain Hyejin. The Empire had only encountered 12 other spacefaring species in 3,000 years, and they had conquered or absorbed all of them. We are currently on a long-range exploration mission, Dr. Soman continued. Our goal is to map this region of the galaxy and, if possible, make peaceful contact with new species. We truly did not intend to violate your territory. Our star charts showed this area as unexplored space. Researcher Doyen stepped forward. May I ask a question? When Admiral Taman nodded, he activated his own communicator. Dr. Somin, this is Researcher Doyen. I am a xenotechnology specialist. Your ship's capabilities are remarkable. How long did it take you to travel from the Orion Arm to this location? There was a sound that might have been a laugh. About 4 months, Researcher Doyen. We traveled at a leisurely pace because we were conducting surveys along the way. We could have made the journey faster if necessary. 4 months. To cross 30,000 light-years. Researcher Doyen felt his legs go weak. The Empire's fastest ships would need decades for the same journey. Admiral Taman made a decision. Captain Jiwon, Dr. Soman, I am going to send a small shuttle with diplomatic representatives to meet with you face-to-face. Will you accept this? We would be honored, Admiral, Captain Jiwon replied warmly. However, I should mention that for safety reasons we cannot allow anyone aboard Wanderer's Hope at this time. We are happy to meet at a neutral location, or we can send our own shuttle to meet your representatives in space. Admiral Taman felt his temper rising. You refuse to allow us aboard? That is not acceptable. Dr. Soman's voice became apologetic but firm. Admiral, please understand. This is standard protocol when we encounter a new species. We have biosafety concerns, technological security measures, and diplomatic procedures. It is nothing personal. We would be happy to send our own shuttle to demonstrate our peaceful intentions. Captain Hyejin whispered urgently to Admiral Taman. Sir, they are refusing our demands while sounding completely reasonable. This is sophisticated diplomatic maneuvering. Admiral Taman knew she was right. These humans, whoever they were, knew exactly what they were doing. They spoke of peace while maintaining all the advantages. They apologized for intrusions while refusing to show weakness. Very well, he said finally. Send your shuttle. But be warned, any treachery will be met with overwhelming force. Understood, Admiral. We would expect nothing less. Our shuttle will launch in 10 minutes. Thank you for your patience. The communication ended. Admiral Taman turned to his senior officers. I want full scans of that shuttle when it launches. I want to know everything about it. And I want weapons locked on it at all times. Yes, sir, they responded in unison. 10 minutes later, a bay door opened on the side of Wanderer's Hope. A small craft emerged, no larger than a standard Imperial transport pod. It moved smoothly through space, heading toward the center of the Imperial fleet formation. Captain Hyejin watched her sensors carefully. Sir, the shuttle is unarmed. No weapons detected. However, its hull composition matches the main ship. Our weapons would have difficulty penetrating it. How much difficulty? Admiral Taman asked. She ran calculations quickly. Our standard plasma cannons would require sustained fire for several minutes to breach the hull. That is if the shuttle has no active defenses. Admiral Taman absorbed this information grimly. A small unarmed shuttle was more durable than most Imperial warships. What did that say about their main vessels? The shuttle came to a stop exactly halfway between Wanderer's Hope and Dominion's Fist. A voice came over the communicator. This one was different again, male and cheerful. Hello, Imperial Fleet. This is Engineer Minho. I am piloting this shuttle. We are ready to begin diplomatic discussions whenever you are. Admiral Taman looked at Researcher Doyen. You are coming with me. I want your expert analysis of everything you see. Sir, is it wise for you to go personally? Captain Hyejin asked with concern. If these humans wanted to kill us, they could have done so already, Admiral Taman replied. Their ship appeared in our space without warning. They crossed impossible distances. They have technology we cannot match. If they meant harm, we would already be dead. The truth of his words settled over the bridge like a heavy blanket. Captain Hyejin nodded slowly. I am coming with you, sir. Admiral Taman smiled slightly. I expected nothing less, Captain. They boarded an Imperial shuttle along with 2 guards and a diplomatic officer. As they flew toward the human craft, Admiral Taman studied it through the viewport. It was smooth and elegant with no visible weapons or engines. It just hung in space, waiting. When they docked with the human shuttle, Admiral Taman took a deep breath. He was about to meet a species that might be more advanced than the Empire. The thought was both terrifying and thrilling. The airlock opened with a soft hiss. Admiral Taman stepped through and came face to face with the humans for the first time. They looked surprisingly normal. 2 arms, 2 legs, 1 head. They wore simple uniforms that were practical rather than decorative. 3 humans stood waiting. A woman who must be Captain Jiwan, another woman who would be Dr. Somin, and a man who was likely Engineer Minho. Captain Jiwan smiled and stepped forward with her hand extended. Admiral Taman had no idea what the gesture meant, but it seemed friendly. Welcome, Admiral Taman, she said warmly. Thank you for meeting with us. Shall we begin? The meeting inside the human shuttle lasted for 2 hours. Admiral Taman returned to Dominion's Fist with more questions than answers. The humans were friendly, almost too friendly. They smiled constantly, which made his diplomatic officer nervous. In Valtrine culture, showing teeth was a sign of aggression, but the humans seemed to mean it as a sign of welcome. Captain Hyejin noticed that Admiral Taman was troubled. Sir, what did they say? They want safe passage through our space, Admiral Taman replied slowly. They offered to share some of their star charts in exchange. They claim they have no interest in our territory or resources. They just want to continue their exploration mission. Researcher Doyen frowned. And you believe them? I do not know what to believe, Admiral Taman admitted. They seem sincere, but no species travels this far from home without ambition. There must be something they want. A message arrived from Imperial High Command at that moment. It was marked urgent and came directly from the Emperor's Council. Captain Hyejin read it and her face went pale. Sir, the Emperor demands a demonstration of Imperial strength. He wants us to show these humans that the Empire is not to be challenged. He suggests a warning shot to make them understand our power. Admiral Taman clenched his jaw. He understood the political pressure. The entire Empire was watching this situation. If he appeared weak, it would encourage other species to challenge Imperial authority. But something about this situation felt dangerous. Very well, he said finally. We will fire a warning shot past their ship. Tell Captain Jiwan that we are demonstrating our weapons capabilities. It is standard Imperial procedure when dealing with unknown vessels. Captain Hyejin sent the message to Wanderer's Hope. The response came back within seconds. Captain Jiwan's voice was still calm and friendly. Understood, Admiral. We appreciate the warning. Please proceed. Admiral Taman moved to the weapons console. Target the space 200 meters to the right of their vessel. Fire the main cannon. Minimum power. Even at minimum power, the Dominion's Fist main cannon was devastating. It could destroy a small moon with a single shot. The weapon charged up with a deep humming sound that vibrated through the entire ship. Energy gathered at the forward cannon, glowing bright blue. Firing, the weapons officer announced. A massive beam of pure energy shot across space. It was beautiful and terrible, a demonstration of the Empire's technological might. The beam was aimed to pass safely by Wanderer's Hope, close enough to impress but far enough not to threaten. But something happened that no one expected. The beam never reached its destination. Halfway to the human ship, it simply vanished. One moment it was there, a brilliant blue streak across the darkness. The next moment it was gone, as if it had never existed. The bridge of Dominion's fist erupted in confusion. Officers shouted questions. Sensors blinked with confused readings. Captain Hyejin worked frantically at her console, trying to understand what had happened. "Sir," she said in a shaking voice, "the human ship intercepted our beam. Their point defense system activated automatically. It neutralized our shot completely." Admiral Taman felt ice in his veins. "That was our main cannon. At minimum power, yes, but still capable of destroying a city. And they just erased it from existence?" "Yes, sir." Captain Hyejin pulled up the sensor data. "Look at this. Their defensive system generated some kind of field that absorbed the energy completely. And according to my readings, it happened automatically. They did not even have to think about it. Researcher Doyen was already analyzing the data with wide eyes. Admiral, this is impossible technology. We do not have anything that can neutralize an energy beam like that. Nothing even close." A communication came through from Captain Jiwan. She still sounded friendly, but there was a hint of concern in her voice now. "Admiral Taman, we apologize for the automatic defense activation. Our ship's systems detected the incoming energy and responded on their own. We did not mean to alarm you. Is everything all right?" Admiral Taman struggled to control his voice. "Captain Jiwan, you just stopped our most powerful weapon, and you say it was automatic?" There was a pause. Then Dr. Soman's voice joined the conversation. "Admiral, I think we need to have a more detailed conversation about our respective technologies. We may have given you the wrong impression about our capabilities. Wanderer's Hope is a civilian exploration vessel. It is not a military ship. Our defensive systems are standard safety equipment, required by law on all human spacecraft. They are designed to protect against space debris, radiation, and other hazards." Captain Hyejin ran calculations on her console. Her hands were shaking. "Sir, if their civilian ships have defenses this strong, what do their military ships have?" Admiral Taman had been wondering the same thing. He looked at the view screen where Wanderer's Hope hung peacefully in space. The small ship suddenly seemed much more threatening. "Captain Jiwan, Dr. Soman," he said carefully, "I think we need to continue our discussion. But this time I would like more information about human technology and capabilities." "Of course, Admiral," Dr. Soman replied warmly. "We are happy to share information. That is one of the reasons we explore, to exchange knowledge with other species. Would you like to meet again?" Before Admiral Taman could respond, another message arrived from Imperial High Command. This one was marked triple urgent. It came directly from the Emperor himself. The message was short and clear. If the humans refuse to leave Imperial space immediately, destroy their ship. The Empire would not be humiliated. Admiral Taman closed his eyes briefly. The Emperor did not understand the situation. He had not seen what that small ship could do. He did not know that it had stopped their most powerful weapon without effort. Captain Hyejin leaned close to him. "Sir, what are your orders?" Admiral Taman thought about his 40 years of service. He thought about all the battles he had won, all the enemies he had defeated. He had never disobeyed a direct order from the Emperor before. But he had also never faced an enemy like this. "Get me Commander Yuna," he said quietly. Commander Yuna was the leader of the Imperial Special Forces. She was a warrior of legendary skill, trained in combat and infiltration. She arrived on the bridge within minutes, her armor gleaming and her weapons ready. "You called for me, Admiral." "Commander, I have a mission for you. I want you to attempt to board the human vessel, not to fight but to gather intelligence. I need to know more about their ship and their capabilities." Commander Yuna smiled. She loved challenges. "It will be done, Admiral." She took her best team, 12 Special Forces soldiers trained for shipboarding operations. They approached Wanderer's Hope in a stealth assault craft, using every trick they knew to avoid detection. They did not even get close. When they were still 500 meters away, the human ship activated some kind of scanning system. Commander Yuna's communication device activated on its own. Captain Jiwan's voice came through, sounding genuinely concerned. "Commander Yuna, we have detected your approach. We appreciate your skills, they are impressive. However, we cannot allow boarding at this time. For your safety, please return to your fleet." Commander Yuna felt anger rise in her chest. No one had ever detected her stealth approach before. Human, I am a commander of the Imperial Special Forces. You cannot stop me. Commander, we do not wish to stop you. We wish to protect you. This time it was Engineer Minho speaking. Your assault craft is approaching our defensive perimeter. If you continue, our automatic systems will activate. They are designed to stop physical intrusions. I do not want to see you hurt. Your systems do not scare me, Commander Yuna replied coldly. Commander, please reconsider, Minho said urgently. Our hull is made of carbon nanotube composite reinforced with titanium steel alloy. Your cutting tools cannot penetrate it. We have run analysis on your equipment. This is not an insult, just a fact. Please turn back. Commander Yuna ignored the warning. She brought her craft right up to the human ship's hull. Her team prepared their cutting lasers, the most advanced breaching tools the Empire had. They could cut through any known metal in seconds. She activated the laser and pressed it against the hull of Wanderer's Hope. Nothing happened. The laser burned at maximum power, but the hull of the human ship remained completely unmarked. Not even a scratch appeared. Commander Yuna increased the power, then increased it again. The laser glowed so hot that her soldiers had to step back to avoid the heat. Still nothing. After 5 minutes of continuous cutting, Commander Yuna finally stopped. She stared at the perfect unmarked hull in disbelief. Then she opened her communicator. Admiral Taman, she said quietly, we cannot breach their hull. Our equipment is completely ineffective. On the bridge of Dominion's Fist, Admiral Taman heard the defeat in her voice. Commander Yuna never admitted failure. She was the best warrior in the fleet. If she could not breach their hull, no one could. Captain G1's voice came through again, still friendly but now with a hint of sadness. Admiral, we did warn you. We truly do not wish for conflict. We are simply explorers. But we are also prepared to defend ourselves if necessary. Please, can we return to diplomatic discussions? There is much we can learn from each other. Researcher Doyen spoke quietly to Admiral Taman. Sir, I have been analyzing everything we have learned. The diplomatic meeting was held on a hastily constructed neutral platform in space. Both sides worked together to build it, and the cooperation itself was unusual. Imperial engineers watched in amazement as human construction drones assembled their half of the platform in less than an hour using methods that seemed like magic. Admiral Taman arrived with a full diplomatic team. Captain Hyojin accompanied him, along with researcher Doyen and Ambassador Seojin, the Empire's most senior diplomat. Ambassador Seojin was an old man who had negotiated hundreds of treaties. He had dealt with surrenders, alliances, and trade agreements, but he had never dealt with a species that seemed completely uninterested in the normal rules of power. The humans arrived in their small shuttle. Captain G1 emerged first, followed by Dr. Soman and Engineer Minho. They also brought a fourth person, a young woman who introduced herself as Scientist Kwan. She was a physicist who specialized in explaining human technology to other species. The two groups met in the center of the platform. This time, Admiral Taman understood the extended hand gesture and shook hands with Captain G1. Her grip was surprisingly strong. They sat at a table that floated in the middle of the room. Through the transparent walls, they could see both fleets waiting in the distance. 300 Imperial warships faced one small human exploration vessel. The size difference should have been intimidating, but somehow it was not. Ambassador Seojin spoke first. His voice was formal and careful. Captain G1, Dr. Soman, on behalf of the Valtrine Empire, I welcome you to this negotiation. We hope to reach a peaceful understanding. However, I must be direct. The Empire needs to know your true intentions. No species travels this far without purpose. Dr. Soman nodded with understanding. She seemed to appreciate the direct approach. Ambassador, that is a fair question. I will be completely honest with you. Humanity's goal is exploration and knowledge. We want to understand the galaxy. We want to meet other species and learn from them. We want to trade, to share culture, to grow together. And what do you want from us? Ambassador Seojin asked. Nothing you are not willing to freely give, Captain G1 replied simply. If you want us to leave, we will leave. If you want to trade information, we are happy to do so. If you want to establish diplomatic relations, that would be wonderful. But if you want us gone, we will respect that. Captain Hyojin leaned forward. You say you want nothing. Yet you have shown us technology far beyond ours. You have proven that our weapons cannot harm you. You could demand anything. Why do you not? Captain Ji-won smiled. It was a genuine smile, warm and open. Captain Heejin, humanity learned a long time ago that forcing others creates enemies. Building friendships creates allies. We have enough challenges in the universe without making more enemies. Researcher Doyen could not contain his curiosity any longer. Please, I must know. Where exactly is your homeworld? How far did you really travel? Scientist Kwan pulled out a device and projected a holographic star map above the table. The map showed a vast section of the galaxy. She pointed to a region far away from Imperial space. This is Earth, our homeworld. It is approximately 32,000 light-years from this location. The Imperial delegation stared at the map in silence. The distance was incredible. How long did you travel? Researcher Doyen asked quietly. About 4 months, Engineer Minho replied. As Dr. Soman mentioned earlier, we could have done it faster, but we wanted to survey as we traveled. Ambassador Seojin shook his head slowly. 4 months to cross 30,000 light-years. Our fastest ships would need 30 years to do the same journey. We would be happy to share some basic information about our faster-than-light technology, Scientist Kwan offered. Not the complete specifications, you understand, but enough to help you improve your own systems. Why would you do that? Captain Hyejin asked suspiciously. Because knowledge should be shared, Scientist Kwan replied simply. And because faster ships mean easier communication and trade. It benefits everyone. Admiral Taman had been quiet, watching and listening. Now he spoke. How long has humanity been traveling in space? We launched our first satellite about 500 years ago, Captain Ji-won said. We achieved faster-than-light travel about 400 years ago. We have been exploring actively for the past 3 centuries, only 400 years. The Empire had been spacefaring for 3,000 years. Yet the humans had surpassed them completely in that short time. Admiral Taman felt a strange mixture of admiration and fear. You said you have encountered 17 other species, Ambassador Seojin said. Tell us about them. Dr. Soman activated her own data device. Images appeared above the table showing various alien species. Some of them are more advanced than humanity in certain areas. Some are less advanced. But with each one, we have tried to establish peaceful contact and mutual benefit. Some species wanted to trade. Some wanted to share research. Some simply wanted to be left alone, and we respected that. Did any of them try to fight you? Captain Heejin asked. Yes. 3 species initially responded with hostility, Dr. Soman admitted. In each case, we tried to de-escalate the situation. We avoided conflict when possible. When it was not possible, we defended ourselves, but we never pursued revenge. As soon as they were willing to talk, we talked. Admiral Taman leaned back in his chair. You speak of peace and cooperation, but you travel in ships that are essentially mobile fortresses. Your civilian vessel has defenses that can stop our most powerful weapons. You claim to be explorers, but you are prepared for war. Captain Ji-won met his eyes steadily. Admiral, would you send your people into unknown space in a weak ship? Would you risk your crew's lives by being unprepared? We hope for peace, but we prepare for reality. Humanity learned long ago that good intentions are not enough. You must also have the strength to protect what you care about. The words resonated with Admiral Taman. He understood that philosophy completely. Researcher Doyen asked another question. You mentioned that your ship is a civilian exploration vessel. What are your military ships like? The 3 humans exchanged glances. Engineer Minho spoke carefully. Our military vessels are significantly more advanced than Wanderer's Hope. But we do not like to discuss military capabilities. It sends the wrong message. I must insist, Ambassador Seojin said firmly. The Empire needs to understand what we might face if relations deteriorate. Dr. Somin nodded slowly. Very well. Our military ships are larger, faster, and more heavily armed. They also carry significantly more defensive systems. A human destroyer-class warship could probably disable or destroy a fleet this size without taking critical damage. But please understand that is not a threat. It is simply information you requested. The silence that followed was heavy. Captain Heejin ran quick calculations in her head. If one human destroyer could handle 300 Imperial warships, how many destroyers did humanity have? How large was their fleet? As if reading her mind, Dr. Soman added, We have 43 military fleets protecting human space and our trade routes. Each fleet contains between 50 and 200 warships depending on their assignment. The numbers were staggering. Humanity had military power that dwarfed the entire Imperial fleet many times over. Are there more human ships coming to this region? Admiral Taman asked. Not currently, Captain Jiwan replied. Wanderer's Hope is on a solo mission. However, if we establish positive contact with your empire, we would certainly like to send diplomatic vessels, trade ships, and research teams, but only if you welcome us. Ambassador Seojin cleared his throat. I must ask a difficult question. You say you want peace and cooperation, but with your technological advantage, you could simply take whatever you want. Why do you not conquer? Captain Jiwan's expression became serious. Ambassador, let me tell you about Earth. She activated a holographic projection showing a blue and green planet. It was beautiful, with white clouds swirling across oceans and continents. This is our homeworld, Captain Jiwan continued. Earth is what we call a high-gravity world. The gravity is about 40% stronger than what you have on your homeworld. The atmosphere contains higher oxygen levels. The weather is violent, with storms that can destroy cities. The planet is home to millions of species of life, many of them dangerous. She changed the image to show various Earth creatures, large predators with sharp teeth and claws, massive creatures from the oceans, tiny organisms that could kill with venom or disease. Humanity evolved competing with all of this, Dr. Soman explained. We are physically stronger and more durable than most spacefaring species because we had to be. Our technology advanced quickly because our world forced us to innovate or die. We learned cooperation because we needed each other to survive. Researcher Doyen stared at the images with growing horror. You come from a death world. We call it home, Captain G1 said with a slight smile. But yes, by galactic standards, Earth is an extremely hostile environment. Most species would need environmental suits just to stand on the surface. Scientist Kwan added more information. Human bodies are designed for high gravity and high oxygen. We can survive in environments that would kill most other species. This is not boasting, just biology. It also means we understand struggle. We understand fighting to survive. That is why we value peace so much. The emergency session of the Imperial Council was held in the Grand Chamber on the capital world. Holographic projections allowed thousands of officials to attend virtually. The chamber buzzed with worried voices. News of the human ship had spread throughout the Empire, and everyone had opinions. Admiral Taman stood before the Emperor and the Council. He had traveled back to the capital to present his report in person. This was too important for remote communication. Captain Hyojin stood beside him, ready to provide technical details. Researcher Doyen waited nearby with his analysis of human technology. The Emperor sat on his throne, ancient and powerful. He had ruled the Empire for 60 years. He had overseen the conquest of 12 systems. He had never faced a challenge like this. Admiral Taman, the Emperor's voice echoed through the chamber. Explain the situation. Admiral Taman took a deep breath. Your Majesty, we have encountered a species called humanity. They come from a region called the Orion Arm, approximately 30,000 light-years from here. Their technology is significantly more advanced than ours. Their ship, which they claim is merely a civilian exploration vessel, has defensive capabilities that exceed our entire fleet. A murmur of disbelief swept through the council. Impossible, one council member shouted. No species could be that far ahead of us. The Empire has the finest technology in the galaxy. Captain Hyojin stepped forward. With respect, Counselor, we have proof. Their ship stopped our main cannon without effort. Their hull cannot be penetrated by our best cutting tools. Their power output is 100 times greater than our largest warship. These are facts, not estimates. Then we must destroy them before they destroy us, another council member declared. Several others voiced agreement. Admiral Taman raised his hand for silence. Your Majesty, the humans have made no aggressive moves against us. They claim to be explorers seeking peaceful contact. They have offered to share technology and establish trade relations. They have asked for nothing except safe passage and the opportunity to talk. And you believe them? The Emperor asked sharply. I do not know if I believe them, Admiral Taman admitted honestly. But I do know that attacking them would be suicide. Their single ship could destroy our entire fleet. If they have more ships and they claim to have thousands, then we cannot win a war against them. The chamber erupted in angry shouts. The very idea that the Empire could not win a war was unthinkable. It went against 3,000 years of history. Researcher Doyen stepped forward and raised his voice above the noise. Your Majesty, I have studied their technology carefully. The humans are not lying about their capabilities. Everything they have shown us is consistent with an extremely advanced civilization. But there is something else you should know. He activated a holographic display showing Earth. This is their homeworld. By our standards, it is a death world. The gravity is 40% higher than standard. The atmosphere is borderline toxic to most species. The weather systems are catastrophically violent. Yet humanity evolved there and thrived. He showed images of human biology. Humans are physically stronger and more durable than any spacefaring species we have encountered. They can survive in environments we would find lethal. This is important because it explains their technology. They needed advanced materials to survive on their world. They needed powerful energy sources to overcome their gravity. Their technology grew from necessity. A council member who was a military general stood up. Then we should destroy them while we have the chance, before they become a threat. They already are a threat, Captain Hygen said bluntly. If we attack and fail, they will retaliate. If we attack and succeed, which is highly unlikely, we will have declared war on a species that is allied with 17 other civilizations. We would face not just humanity, but all their allies. The Emperor leaned forward on his throne. What do the humans want? They say they want only peaceful cooperation, Admiral Taman replied. They offer to share knowledge, establish trade, and form diplomatic relations. They ask for nothing in return except acceptance. No species gives without expecting something back, the Emperor said. They seem to operate on a different philosophy. Ambassador Seojin spoke up. He had arrived with Admiral Taman. Your Majesty, I have negotiated for 70 years. I have dealt with conquerors, traitors, and thieves. The humans are different. They believe that sharing knowledge makes everyone stronger. They build alliances instead of empires. The Emperor was silent for a long moment. Admiral Taman, you have seen these humans face to face. You have spoken with them. Do you trust them? Admiral Taman chose his words carefully. Your Majesty, I do not trust easily. I am a soldier. I see threats everywhere, but I believe the humans are sincere. They have the power to take whatever they want from us, yet they ask for nothing. They could have destroyed my fleet, yet they defended themselves only when attacked. They could have invaded our space with overwhelming force, yet they sent only one small ship. These are not the actions of conquerors. Another council member spoke up. But what if this is a trick? What if they are testing our defenses before they bring their invasion fleet? Captain Hygen responded. If they wanted to invade, they would not need to test anything. Their technology is so far ahead of ours that an invasion would be trivial. They would win within days, perhaps hours. There would be no need for deception. The argument continued for hours. Some council members wanted war. Some wanted to reject the humans and hope they left peacefully. Some wanted to accept the offer of friendship. The council was divided, and the decision weighed heavily on everyone. Finally, the Emperor raised his hand for silence. I have heard enough arguments. Admiral Taman, you will return to the border fleet. You will inform the humans that the Valtrine Empire accepts their offer of diplomatic relations. We will establish formal communication channels. We will explore the possibility of trade and cultural exchange. But we do so cautiously. We will watch them carefully. If they betray our trust, we will respond accordingly. Admiral Taman bowed deeply. Yes, Your Majesty. I will deliver your message. The Emperor stood from his throne. Let it be known throughout the Empire. Today we make history. For the first time in 3,000 years, we recognize another species as our equal. May this decision lead to prosperity rather than ruin. Admiral Taman returned to the Dominion's fist and immediately contacted the human ship. Captain G1 answered almost instantly. Admiral Taman, it is good to hear from you. What is the decision? Captain G1, the Emperor has agreed to establish formal diplomatic relations with humanity. We accept your offer of friendship. There was a moment of silence. Then Captain G1's voice came back, filled with genuine joy. Admiral, that is wonderful news. On behalf of humanity, I thank you. This is the beginning of something special. Over the next few days, arrangements were made quickly. Human diplomatic ships would arrive within 2 months to establish a formal embassy on the imperial capital. Trade negotiations would begin immediately. Cultural exchange programs would be set up. Captain Hygen was given a special assignment. She would lead the first imperial expedition to human space. She would visit Earth and see the homeworld of this remarkable species. She was both excited and terrified by the prospect. Researcher Doyen could hardly contain his enthusiasm. He would be traveling with Captain Hygen. He would have access to human research facilities. He would learn about their technology and science. For a researcher, it was the opportunity of a lifetime. Commander Yuna also received a promotion. She was assigned to create a joint training program with human military forces. She was curious to test her skills against humans in a controlled environment. She suspected she would learn valuable lessons. The most surprising change came in Imperial culture itself. News of the humans spread across all the Empire's worlds. Young people were especially fascinated. Human entertainment broadcasts began to appear on Imperial networks. Stories of life on a death world captured everyone's imagination. 6 months after first contact, a formal treaty was signed. The Valtrine Empire and the human coalition of systems became allies. Trade routes were established. Research projects were started jointly. Students from both civilizations began to study on each other's worlds. Admiral Taman attended the treaty signing ceremony. He stood beside Captain Jiwan as they watched their leaders sign the historic document. He thought about how close they had come to war. One wrong decision, one moment of fear or pride, and everything could have been different. "Admiral," Captain Jiwan said quietly, "I want to thank you personally. You made the right choices when it mattered. Many leaders would have chosen violence over diplomacy. The galaxy is better because of your wisdom." Admiral Taman smiled slightly. "I simply recognize that there are battles that cannot be won with weapons. Sometimes the greatest victory is making a friend instead of an enemy." Captain Hyojin prepared for her journey to human space. She stood in her quarters aboard the Dominion's Fist, packing her belongings. There was a knock on her door. It was Admiral Taman. "Are you ready, Captain?" he asked. "I think so," she replied. "I am nervous about visiting Earth. From everything I have learned, it sounds like a terrifying place." Admiral Taman chuckled.